You've walked the property. You've stood in the kitchen. You've watched the light come through the back windows. You've clocked the new roof and the hairline crack in the driveway, and the fact that the third bedroom is really more of an office. And somewhere in the middle of all that, almost without trying, you've landed on a number. You already know what this house is worth. Now comes the hard part. Because knowing the number and proving the number are two completely different jobs, and the gap between them is exactly where a lot of good deals quietly fall apart. Picture the seller sitting across the table from you. They love this house. They raised their kids in this house, and they are certain that it's worth 15% more than anything nearby has actually sold for. Now picture the buyer on the other side of a different deal. Smart person, good income, and about one emotional decision away from overpaying by tens of thousands of dollars because they can already see their couch in that living room. You are standing in the middle of those two people, and trust me, I've been doing this a while, is not going to be enough for either of them. So today, the story of how you close that gap, how you take the number in your head and turn it into a number nobody at the table can argue with. It's a story about discipline, about resisting the easy answer, and about one specific moment in almost every deal where the whole conversation changes. Stay with us. Let's start with what we're actually talking about because it carries an unglamorous name, the comparative market analysis, the CMA. And the entire job of it fits into a single sentence. You figure out what a property is worth right now based on what similar homes are actually selling for, not what anyone hopes, not what a website's automatic estimate spits out after never once setting foot inside the place, what real, comparable homes actually closed at. That's it. That's the whole engine. And here's why that matters more than it sounds. The most natural thing in the world when you want a property to be worth a certain amount is to go looking for evidence that it is. The seller does it with memory. The buyer does it with feeling. And honestly, the agent can do it too. You walk in, you like the house, you want the listing, and suddenly your hunch starts pulling the number around like a magnet. A CMA exists to take the magnet away. Now, one distinction worth getting exactly right, because getting it wrong is how you lose a client's trust in about 4 seconds. A CMA is not an appraisal. An appraisal is a formal valuation from a licensed appraiser. It carries legal and financial weight. The lender orders it, somebody pays a fee for it, and a mortgage can hinge on it. A CMA is your professional estimate. You build it yourself from publicly available sales data, no license required, and you use it to set a smart listing price or guide an offer. Both estimate value. They are not interchangeable. Lean on the CMA to price the home and steer the offer. When a bank needs a number it can underwrite against, that's when the appraisal steps in. A good agent never blurs that line and never lets a client think they're getting one when they're getting the other. So a CMA is your tool. The whole question is how to build one that actually holds up when a skeptical person is staring at it. And this is where most people go wrong. Because the temptation, when you already want a number, is to go hunting for the number you've already decided on. The discipline is the exact opposite of that. A solid CMA compares the home in front of you to at least 3 similar homes that have recently sold. And I want to be careful here. 3 is the floor. It is not the goal. 3 is just the minimum below which you're not really making an argument anymore. You're making a guess with a spreadsheet wrapped around it. 2 words in there are doing almost all the work. Similar and recently. Recently means homes that sold in roughly the last 3 to 6 months, not last year. The market moves, and a sale from 12 months ago tells your client a great deal about last year, and almost nothing about today. Similar means 3 things lining up: size, square footage in the same ballpark; location, ideally the same neighborhood, because the same neighborhood quietly erases a dozen arguments you'd otherwise have to win. Same schools, same streets, same kind of buyer walking through the door. And features. The bed and bath count, the lot, the condition, all of it in range with the home you're pricing. Here's the mistake nearly everyone makes at least once. You reach. You find a sale across town that looks like your property on paper, same square footage, same year built, and you grab it like a life raft. And it falls apart in your hands because it's a different street, a different school district, a different set of buyers, and in the end, a different price entirely. Stay local. Stay recent. And the number can stand on its own 2 feet. And here's why this matters more than it first appears. More comps don't make you more credible. 10 loose comps just make noise. 4 tight comps, same area, same window, same kind of home, make a number people actually believe. Quality beats quantity every single time. Fewer better comps, laid out clearly, beat a tall pile of almosts. One quick aside because it pays off later. This same logic isn't only for sale prices. The exact discipline that sets a competitive listing price also sets a competitive rental price, useful the moment you or a client decides to hold a property instead of sell it. The comp is the comp. The thinking travels. But here's the thing. Even your cleanest comps won't quite match. They can't. No 2 homes are identical. And that is where the real work actually lives. Raw comp prices only get you partway there. The part that separates a genuine valuation from a hopeful one is adjusting for the differences between your property and each comp. Let me make it concrete. Say one of your comps sold for $500,000. Great comp. Same neighborhood, sold last month, the works. But it's got an extra bathroom your property doesn't have, and a finished basement yours doesn't have. You cannot just write down $500,000 and move on. You adjust. You bring that number down to reflect what your home actually offers, not what the neighbor's home offered. And you do it again, and again, across every meaningful difference. Square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, lot size, the garage, the renovations, the overall condition, the pool out back. That's the move. That's the whole craft, really, accounting for every real difference out in the open in plain sight. Skip that step, and your estimate quietly drifts away from reality, a little more with every comp. Do it honestly, and I mean honestly, even when the honest adjustment nudges the number in a direction your seller is not going to love, and you land on a price you can stand behind in any room in front of anyone. So far, we've got the bones of it. At least 3 comps: recent, local, genuinely similar, and then adjusted, one real difference at a time, until a flat list of sales finally turns into an actual valuation. Which brings us to the moment everything's been building toward. Remember that seller from the very beginning? The one who's certain the house is worth 15% more? Here's what actually changes their mind. It isn't your confidence. It isn't your years in the business. It isn't the smooth way you say the number. It's when they can see it. When you lay 4 similar homes side by side, the real size, the real sale price, the real features that drove each one, and the seller can look at it with their own eyes, something shifts. The conversation stops being a contest between their feelings and your opinion. The facts are just sitting there on the table. The pricing logic is visible instead of hidden behind your judgment. And this is where things change. Pricing stops being something you have to win an argument about and becomes a decision the 2 of you make together, looking at the same picture. A number is convincing. A number people can see is far more convincing. That, right there, is the quiet secret of the whole thing. A CMA isn't really a document. It's a way of moving a decision out of the realm of hope and feeling, where, frankly, you can never win, and onto a table where everyone is finally looking at the same evidence. The seller who wanted 15% more isn't wrong to love their home. They're just looking at it through memory. Your job isn't to argue with the memory, it's to gently set the market down right next to it and let them see both at once. So here's what to carry out of this. Whether you're an agent setting a listing price, an investor sanity checking a deal before you commit real capital, or anyone trying to put a defensible number on a property. First, resist the number you want. Go find what actually sold. Your hunch is a fine starting point. It is a terrible conclusion. Second, fewer, better comps. At least 3, ideally a tight handful. Recent, within 3 to 6 months, and as local as you can possibly get. Stay in the neighborhood. Quality beats quantity always. Pull them fresh for every new property because markets move faster than your memory of them. Third, do the adjustment work and do it honestly. Walk every meaningful difference, the extra bath, the finished basement, the lot, the condition, and move the number accordingly. Even when it costs you the easy yes, especially then. And fourth, maybe the most important one, make it visible. Don't ask people to trust your number, show them how you got there. Put the comps side by side, let the logic sit out in the open, and watch the temperature in the room come down on its own. Because in the end, pricing a home isn't really about being the smartest person at the table. It's about being the one who brought the evidence and laid it out so clearly that the right number became the obvious one. You walked the property. You had a number in your head. Now you can prove it. And look, if you're tired of rebuilding that proof from scratch on every single deal, a clean, repeatable system does the heavy lifting on the math and the layout, so you can spend your judgment where it actually counts. But the template is only ever the tool. The discipline is the thing. That part you bring yourself.